Hello. My name is Marshall Goldsmith, and I'm an executive educator. I'm an executive coach, and I'm an author. I've been ranked number one leadership thinker in the world, number one executive coach, and I've got three New York Times bestsellers. And I'm so excited to be talking to you today. Now, years ago, I went to a program called Design the Life You Love. It was put on by a wonderful woman named Aisha Bursell, one of the world's top designers. And she said, "Who are your heroes?" My heroes were kind and generous people who are great teachers. She said, "You should be more like them." I said, "Great idea." I decided to basically adopt 15 people, teach them all I know for free. And the only price is when they get old, they have to do the same thing. Well, I made a little selfie video and put it on LinkedIn. It turned out to be the most widely viewed video in the history of LinkedIn. I thought maybe 100 people would apply and I'd adopt 15. As it turned out, over 18,000 people have applied. And our program is now called 100 Coaches. And we've actually have now about 200 people, including the CEO of the Year in the United States, the number two CEO of the Year in the United States, the ranked number three great leader in the world. We have the president of the World Bank. We have probably the greatest leader in the history of the pharmaceutical industry. We have a CEO of the Mayo Clinic, the CEO of St. Jude's Children's Hospital, MD Anderson Cancer Center, head of the Rockefeller Foundation, 15 of the top 50 business thinkers in the world. We have an amazing group, and our group is called the 100 Coaches. So I'm very excited today to be rolling out a new series where you're going to hear from people I think are among the greatest thinkers and the greatest leaders. And also, I'm a little biased here, but about the greatest people who ever lived. Now, today, I'm going to talk about three things that relate specifically to our new and ever so challenging world. Number one is staying present. It is really hard, and I'm not preaching at anyone else. It's hard for me to stay present in today's incredibly busy, turbulent, and often troubling times. Number two is staying connected. More important today than ever before to stay connected to the people that are around us. And then finally, number three is I'm going to spend a little extra time today talking about young people. A lot of people have been wrapping young people and the younger generation, all they're doing wrong. Well, I'm not in that generation. I'm going to say some good things about that generation because I think that I, as a person who's not a young person, want to say thank you to them for all the good that they're doing in the world. Let's get started. The first topic we're going to be talking about today is the topic of staying present, focusing on what you're doing in an incredibly challenging and difficult time. Hey, I notice I'm not throwing stones at anyone here. It's hard for me. It's hard for me to stay present. Why? Well, it's tempting just to look at the screen and look at how many people have died because of the coronavirus and just read the last news or look at the next press release. It's very hard to stay focused and to concentrate today on much of anything. Well, let me just give you hopefully a couple of guidelines that help me and maybe they'll help you. The first one is be where you are. Schedule time aside and be rigorous and stick to that schedule. Say, during this time, I'm going to, and it may be in my leadership role, maybe be an author, whatever it is, I am going to do this during this time period, regardless of whatever else happens. Another way to stay present is disconnect. Disconnect yourself from the internet in terms of that constant flow of news, ideas. Disconnect so you're focused on your basic mission in life. What am I here for? What am I doing? I am focused on doing that. I'm going to stay present in doing that. And number three is make peace with what you can change and what you cannot change. It's very easy today in a world where we're so barraged with news, with problems, with issues, to get angry, to blame people, to spend an inordinate time talking about politics, to be in an echo chamber where we say something to somebody who agrees with us and then we shout back and forth in violent agreement with each other. What's the purpose? There isn't any. In my book, Triggers, I have a great question. Before you deal with any topic, ask yourself, am I willing at this time to make the investment required to make a positive difference on this topic? If the answer is yes, go for it. If the answer is no, just take a deep breath and let it go. So a key to staying present is to focus on what can I do to make a positive difference? Peter Drucker taught me this. He said, our mission in life is not to prove we're smart and not to prove we're right. It's to make a positive difference. That's what we're on earth for. Really, to be present, focus on how can I make a positive difference with my family, with my occupation, with my life, with the world. And am I doing something right now that's really focused on making a positive difference? Focus on that. So our first challenge is staying present. Not so easy in a very, very challenging and busy world. The second one is very important, staying connected. Actually, many of us are forced to stay at home right now. I know I am. I'm in California and I'm above 70. So I'm definitely in the category this guy should stay at home. Well, in a way, it's harder, but in a way, it's easier to stay connected. It's harder to stay physically connected. I can't see people like I used to. We can't talk to each other, obviously, can't touch each other. Yet it's easier in a way to stay connected because I have more time. I'm not driving back and forth. I can talk to people online. I have a group I talk with every day from some between 30 and 50 or 60 people. Every day we talk. I stay connected with people around the world. So, a couple of strategies for staying connected. One, make a list of the various categories of people you want to stay connected with. For example, in my case, part one list is friends and family. And I found during this crisis, I'm doing better at being connected with my extended family, my cousins, nieces, nephews, people who don't live around me. I haven't seen that much in the past. Really trying to reconnect with those people and say, hey, I love you. I hope it's okay out there. How you doing? And number one, I appreciate it. And number two, even more important, they seem to appreciate it. So it's a great opportunity to stay connected with friends and family. And then make those other list of important stakeholders in your life. Could be your direct reports, it could be your peers, could be your customers. Really reaching out to connect to those people and making that extra effort and realizing they can't always talk to you, they can't always get back to you, they're busy too, but at least doing your best to stay connected with them. And as I always talk about in my books, asking a question, what can I do to help you? Rather than getting lost in pity and gee, poor me and life is hard, what can I do to help you have a great life? And see if there's anything maybe you can do to help them. Now, and the final thing I'd like to talk about in our brief session is young people. If we look at the coronavirus right now, let's just look at the numbers. I have a degree in math and look at the numbers. Most people that die are not young. I think the average age of someone who died in Greece, or perhaps the median age of, excuse me, someone who died in Italy is about 81 years old. Most people who are dying in this are older people, not younger people. I look at the TV and I see these scenes of young people on beaches and blowing it off and laughing, and they're just getting constantly criticized. My belief is that is a tiny percentage of all young people. I think most people are very sensitive, are willing to go out of their way to realize, look, I don't want to get this. And it's not, I don't want to get it because it's going to hurt me. I don't want to get this because I can kill somebody else. I could kill my mother, my grandmother, an older person. Look, I am one of those older people. And I'm not taking the hit for them in terms of this coronavirus. They're taking the hit for me. They're the ones who are making a sacrifice of time, a sacrifice of potential career, a sacrifice of interaction. They're basically making a sacrifice to help older people like me, to help people that are compromised in one way or the other. And I want to be one of the few older people that says to the young people in this world, thank you. Thank you. I recognize what you're doing. I know this is your sacrifice. I know in many cases you don't have to do it. If you do get sick, you're probably not going to get that sick. And statistically, I've looked at the numbers. If you're under 40, the odds on you dying are almost zero. You're taking a hit for me. So I at least want to be one person in this world who says thank you. I'd like to also encourage some of the other older people who are listening right now to do the same thing. My great friend Harry Kramer, one of the greatest CEOs and teachers I've met, in his church, he has an example of young people who are just going out of their way to go to old people's homes that can't get out by themselves, leave them food at the door, little notes, just going out of their way to be nice. So, final comment, thank you. The three topics we've just discussed are number one, being present. Realize it is what it is. Make peace with the situation that exists, and all you can do is do your best at this moment in time. Keep focused on that moment in time and keep focused on how can I make a positive difference. Number two, stay connected. Make a list of those people who are most important in your life and reach out to those people. Maybe the cousin, the niece, the nephew you haven't talked to very much. Maybe your brother or sister that kind of got separated from you. Maybe your direct reports who you haven't coached enough. Maybe your peers that you haven't reached out to. Reach out to those other people and really use this as an opportunity to build connections. And then finally, if you're a little bit older like I am, don't just get into this criticism of young people and what's wrong with them. Thank the many young people in the world that are doing their best to help people like you and me. So finally, this is Marshall Goldsmith. I've enjoyed our conversation. I hope you found it useful as well. If you'd like to send me an email, my email address is Marshall, Marshall, at marshallgoldsmith.com. I love to hear from you. We're going to be having some great speakers on this series. So thank you very much.